Hi, this is Vance. In this video, we'll rebuild a one-pager with header and footer templates with Bricks Builder and make it mobile responsive. This will be a complete walkthrough and tutorial of how to build a decent-looking homepage with Bricks. So as you can see, this is the finished result that is built in Bricks. Okay, no extra plugins used. Right. Bricks is a new WordPress page builder in the market that is quickly gaining traction, and for good reason. They're currently running a lifetime deal, US $149 for 1,000 websites to use it for a lifetime. So if you're looking for a WordPress page builder, you can consider getting Bricks. And in their latest version 1.2.1 release, and the 1.2 release, right, they added a container element so they can build any layout. So you can choose whether you want it to be a div, a section, or anything, which we'll use very much later on when rebuilding this page. Okay, I'm going to show you how to rebuild this page from scratch. Other things such as custom CSS, where is it? Set any CSS unit, so custom CSS properties. So in the past you can only use pixels and percentage, I believe, and I think after that you can use VH and VW, but right now you can use anything. So you can really use clamp, which I have this open, which we're going to use it later as well, to make sure that the font size and stuff, margins and stuff, right, are all responsive right out of the box without having to click too much on each breakpoint. Okay, and some amazing improvements to the editor. So before we start, use the timestamps in the description below to quickly jump to a section of the video. Use the links in the description below to support me and future video creation. And please leave a comment below if you have any questions, and I'll try my best to answer them. So we're going to go ahead and build this right now. So this is the done one. So we wouldn't touch this. We're going to create a new one. I'm just going to name it tutorial page. I'm going to publish, and I'm going to edit with Bricks. Okay. So before we go ahead and create the header and footer templates, right? We're going to set up some settings just for this page first. So under theme settings, right, I'm going to select the theme style that I've already configured. So this condition will apply to not just the done one, but also this new one. You just apply this tutorial page, so that this style that I've configured, right, will apply to both this page and this new page that we're going to build. Okay, and then we're going to take a look at some of the things that I've configured and things that you should look out for when starting out afresh. So container width, by default I believe is 1100, but I set it to 1140 because I read somewhere that this is the sweet spot for content width. So basically this point here and this point, right, before it adds padding or like space at the sides, right, this is 1140 pixels. Then that's pretty much it for general. For colors, I set a primary color, which you see this dark blue here, and yellow, this gold yellow color here. Okay, all the other colors I leave it as the standard colors, but you can add in additional colors if you want to. And as a good practice, right, it will be good to ensure that these colors, right, are not just the default ones, but according to your brand guidelines. Content, I leave it. Links, I leave it. Typography is where it gets a little bit interesting, since they've implemented custom CSS units. So for body font size, right, I'm using clamp. So what this means, right, is at the smallest breakpoint, right, have it 1.4 rem, and at the highest breakpoint have it at 1.8 rem. And of course, I'm able to set the viewport size also, right? Okay, and I should change this to 114. Yes, this should be 114 instead. Yeah, okay. So let me just change it 1.4 and 1.8. Then this is the code that you want to copy. So just from clamp, right? Copy, paste it in here, and we're done. So at any breakpoint, right, which you'll see later, the font size, right, will adjust accordingly. So on mobile it'll be 1.4 rem. On desktop, right, at the largest, no matter how large the screen size is, right, the maximum will go is 1.8 rem. And then since we're talking about rem, right, we should look at this other setting that we should set. So under custom CSS, okay, this is a code snippet that I'll add in here. So what this does is it will set, because the default font size is 16 pixels. So by setting this to 62.5%, right, it sets the font size, the default font size, to be 10 pixels. So then, right, whenever we use the rem CSS unit, right, for example, if we were to type 1.6 rem, that will become 16 pixels. And then if we use, let's say, 4 rem, that will become 40 pixels. So it becomes very easy, right, to adjust accordingly. And obviously using rem, right, it's cleaner than using pixels, because using definite pixels, right, is not exactly responsive by default. And of course using pixels, right, wouldn't allow you to use something like clamp. It is still possible, but I read somewhere that using rem units, right, is just the best practice, right, for responsiveness in web design, especially in today's context. Okay, so now this is done. I'm going to go back to theme settings, and then typography, all headings, I set it to a font type that I want. Line height, I set it to none. And then the line height, right, for each heading, right, should be different. So this is why, right, on all headings I set it to none. But then for individual like H1, H2, H3, and H4, right, I set it accordingly here. So for H1, right, I set the minimum to be 3.2, maximum to be 6. H2 is 2.8, and the maximum is 4.8. So these numbers, right, are just dependent. Is entirely dependent on whichever size that you want. So it doesn't, you don't have to follow this. There's no like, there's obviously a sweet spot in best practices in terms of like the best sizes to use for websites, but it's entirely up to you. So I wouldn't go through that too much, but basically I use clamp to take care of that, so that I don't need to adjust the breakpoints. I don't need to adjust the font size for each breakpoint. Saves time. And then for button, right, I set up some settings also. So typography, this shouldn't be 16 pixels, but rather it should be 1.6 rem. Yeah. Okay. Background color is the blue, it's the dark blue, unless specified. Border, I set it to be 50 pixels so that it's rounded. And then transition, if we would add any transition, right, it's all 0.2, which is 200 milliseconds, easy in and out. Then you can set all the other things as well if you want to, but these are the settings that I set, which I should also change it to rem. So as you can see, right, we have some default stuff here. We have some default CSS units that you can use, but you can also adjust by just typing in a clamp code like this. Okay, I'm going to leave the link to this in the description below so that's easy for you all to use. And since the settings are done, we can go into building the header and footer. Okay, so we're going to go back, I already have the headers and footers done, but we're just going to recreate them. Okay, the main header and main footer. We'll add new main header, then set it to header template type. And then edit with bricks. Okay, the first thing that we should do every time, right, when we come into the header, when creating a header, the header template, right, is to add a container, of course. And then because here, right, there are 3 columns, right? So we're just going to go ahead and add in 3 columns. So just click this 3 times, and then you'll see that it's stacked on top of each other, right? So then now is the configuration stage. So instead of having, by default it's vertical, we're going to change it to horizontal. So now you can see that it's horizontal. And then there's one very important step, is to set it to stretch. But let's see if I don't set it to stretch, what will happen, right? So the background color, I'm going to select the primary color. As you can see, right, there's this white space here that is not like blue, right? So that's why, right, it's important, right, to stretch it out. But then when you stretch it out, right, you realize that the other containers, right, also take up the full space. So this is where you will need to add in another container to hold these 3 containers. So let me show you what I mean. And one very important improvement, right, is the panel. As you can see, right, there are like slots. I'm not sure if you can see clearly, but there are like slots where you can put in, you can drag an element into it, right, and then it will be nested under this main element. Previously, right, there's no such thing. There wasn't such a thing there wasn't like such visual representation of how it works. So definitely this is a huge improvement. And then now that I've done that, right, you realize that it's stacked on top of each other again. So because you have to select the parent container, which is this, and then set it to be horizontal. And then the main container, you can just remove this. It doesn't remove this. It doesn't allow you to remove that, but okay, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. Okay, that's by selecting twice, then it will disappear. But then you would have to select this other container, right, that holds these 3 containers here, because you want it to be centered in the middle, right, to align container, center, and then you have it, right? Now it's aligned in the center, as you can see from the structure in the editor itself. Next is adding an icon and some text, right? So let me just copy this text first. Here, add in icon. I could use an icon box or icon list, but it's not the best way to do it, so I'm just going to go ahead with icon. And there are some slight differences, but I prefer to use the primitive elements, right, because then it gives you a bit more control. Okay, so I'm going to add in text also, and then I'm going to select this container, make sure that it's horizontal, so that there you have it, right? I'm going to select this style, I'm going to select as light, so it's white. I'm going to select the icon, change it to a location pin. Yep, here it is. And then for the color, run a typography, change this to this yellow, right? Okay, looks good now. And then for the font size, I'm going to bring it down to 1.6. Yeah, if I'm not wrong, it's 1.6. And then for this, it's smaller than usual, so I'm just going to bring it down to, yeah, probably going to just use the clamp function. I think, no, I don't think this is this? What's the size of this? Yeah, it's using clamp. So I'm just going to copy this over here. Then I'm going to paste it in here. There you can see that it's changed. Okay, let me just make sure that it's, yeah. Make sure that the team stars is using the one that I've configured. Okay, let's save this first. And then now you see it's all right at the top, right? So how do we make it center, align center? Just need to you just need to select align cross-axis center, and then on the parent container, make sure that it's center as well. But of course, you don't want it to be too big, right? So I'm going to select this container, and then maybe set the layout, the height to be just 5 probably, and also for this container, for the height to be 5. And then for all these containers, right, you realize that the size of this main container didn't change, mainly because all this are of the same. All this don't have any elements inside. That's why. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete these containers first, and then you can see that it's obeying the 5 REM CSS unit, and then I'm going to just duplicate this 2 times, and then you have it. Oh wait, before I do that, let me set some padding first. Okay, around this, so that when we go down to oval, right, there's some space in between each element. Okay, so I'm just going to set it as, I'm going to go to the container, the parent container, and then under here, the inner container, I'm going to click on this so that it's all linked. I'm going to set it to be 1 REM. Okay, this is a slight quirk, or I'm not sure that whether is it intended, but when I set 1 here, right, it changes all to 1, but then it doesn't change all to REM. So I think this is something that I guess will be fixed in later versions, but for now it's a bit manual in this sense. Okay, so just by doing this, right, I don't have to set padding, right, on the container level. So right now when I just duplicate them, the padding is automatically applied by the parent container. So as you can see, the child container didn't have any padding, but you still see this padding here around it. So it's a very neat feature, of course. And then just to make sure, oh, okay, before I do that, I should add in some margin between the icon and the text. Probably, okay, this is one thing that I guess the developer knows, that when we select REM, right, or any other units, right, it doesn't take in decimal points. So 0.5 is equivalent to 0. Then you see 1, right, when that is 1.5, it doesn't change. Only if it only changes for full numbers, not integers with decimal points, right? So this is why over here, right, I'll just use 4 pixels. Or maybe I should go for 8. Yeah, 8 pixels looks better. I could always go for one rem. I think I just go for 1 rem. Just keep it simple, right? I'll stick to REM as the CSS unit. And then I'm just going to change this text to the correct text. Go back here, change this, and then I'm going to duplicate this container twice. Then of course going to change this accordingly. Change this as well. Okay. And the icon, this will be phone. Mobile phone. I think it's another library probably. Font awesome, maybe. Nope. Is it TV5? Okay, this is very weird. I can't even find that. Ah, okay, here it is. Right, and this one is just the mail icon. Yep, here it is. Okay, looks okay so far. Right, but it looks a bit different, right? Because all this should ideally be in the center. In the center. This is also in the center. So it looks, yeah. So that when we come down, it's in the center. Yep. And without much work, right, it's already responsive by default. So this bar is done. Now for this menu bar, so all we need to do is create a new container. And there's a neat way to do this. Just click here, right? You can select how many inner containers you need. So we'll need one. We'll need one actually. Oops. This is not exactly the best yet, right? Oops. Just undo. This is the one that we should take out. Okay. So because this is the main container, this has to stretch. This container has to align it to the center, right? And then we will need this will be one container by itself, because there's a logo and then the menu and then another CTA button, right? So we need to add in two columns here, two containers here. Whoops. This one will be a sibling. Okay, then select this parent container. Change the alignment to horizontal, right? And then probably need more space for this. Oh wait, actually I don't even need a container. I'll just delete this container, but instead add a button. Then this button will be a sibling of the container. Yeah, this is probably another way that we can do this. And I'm not sure whether I did it this way. I think I selected, I put another container here. But let's try using this way, so that we cut down on the number of containers. And then this container over here, we're going to add in an image. Select the logo. Okay, then we're going to add in a navigation menu. So this will be a sibling of the logo, and then select this container, make sure the direction is horizontal, so it stacks horizontally, and then align all the items in the middle. And it seems like this is a bit taller, right? So this is more like 100. So let's just select this main container, change the height to be, let's say 10 rem. Or maybe about 12 rem. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't do this here. I should do this in this container that wraps all the elements together. Change this to 12. Yeah. Okay, looks a little bit better. Right. Looks a bit closer as well. For this menu, let's select the correct menu. Alright. Looks good. Change this to get consultant. Oh, okay. I should also give some credit, right, to this other, to the reference, right? It's not an exact replica of this, right? Because there's this English thing, which we can't really do it in bricks, at least not without custom code. This is some random HTML template that I found on Theme Forest. So let me just credit them. So this is where I get all the logo and stuff. Just want to put it out there. Okay, so the text is a little bit weird sometimes. Right, don't mind the text. Okay, hang on. Let me just. Okay, and then add in an icon. Message. I think maybe it's ionic ones. Oh. Where did I get it? This icon. Bubble. Try. Nope. I think it's font awesome. This is something I don't really like. We keep searching for this icons. It'd be good if we can have it all in one. Let me just find out which one is this. Okay. At least find out which library it is so that I can just grab the icon. Okay, it's from Font Awesome Regular comment. Right. Font Awesome Regular comment. Yeah, here it is. And then you can select it to be left so that it looks closer to what it should be. Typography, you can change it. Yep, so it's yellow. Right. Okay. Quite happy with that now. Now just to make sure that it's responsive. So over here, probably I want to add some padding at the sides. So come down to, let me just add padding here, maybe just 1 rem. So that it looks good on tablet, mobile. Okay, here probably would have to be, yeah, this should be the layout, right? So probably over here is where I still want it to be okay. I will want this to be in the center. So not aligning to the center. Let me try auto. Somehow it's not aligning to the center, huh? Okay, this is weird. What if I set it to be like this? This could be the reason why I had a container previously. Okay, it might be a quirk. I don't think it's supposed to work like that. But either way, it's going in a container now. Then on the container, I'm going to set it to end. And I'm going to set the width to be auto. Okay, then now when we pull it down, can we align it to the center? No, it doesn't allow it to align. Unless we put this as 100% and then we align, yeah. It's probably a quirk or maybe some sort of bug, but either way, I guess not something you cannot, there's no workaround for it, so that's fine. Then it's more like space between, right? Then it comes down mobile. Yeah, that looks about right. But probably would have to increase the size of the header. Should be a bit more padding. Okay. If that's the case, maybe let me just remove the height for this and then increase the padding for top and bottom. Change this and link this 1, 1, so that when we come down to mobile, it's a bit more space. Yeah. Okay, I think this is pretty close. Yeah. So now we're done with the heading. Let's go on next to the footer. So same thing, add new. Just name a footer so that the templates are organized properly. Select the footer, publish, edit with bricks. Then make sure that the conditions, template settings, conditions is set to the correct one, which is this one should be tutorial page. Save. I think I didn't set the template. Yeah, template condition should be only for the individual one. So let me just go ahead and set it. Make sure that this is correct. Individual tutorial page. Yep. Save. Okay, we're done with the header. Now for the footer, same thing. We'll insert a container and then edit another container. The main container, make sure that it's stretched. This child container, second level one, align it to the center. Then because I guess we have quite a lot of stuff happening over here, we'll need 2 containers. Just add in another container, drag this one out. Okay, this will be where we put all the terms of use, privacy policy, and the copyright stuff. And in the container, this is stretched. This one, align it to the center. And then we will just need 2 text elements. So 2 text elements. Container direction will be horizontal. Change this accordingly. And then, as well as this, change this to terms of use / privacy policy. Right? And then container, space between, so that it looks decent. It looks good. Right? Okay. And then I want to add some padding to the top and bottom, as well as the sides. So just let me link this first and unlink. Oops. I think the top and bottom will need a bit more. Okay, maybe like 2. The sides can be just 1. Yeah. Okay, looks good. This part is done. Now for this footer menu, right? So there are 4 columns, obviously, right? So I will just add in 4 containers. Select this, make sure that it's horizontal. Then you have 4 equal columns. And then, obviously, this column is bigger than the rest, right? So I just need to set the width for this bigger column to be, let's say, about 40%. And you will realize that all the other columns, right, are automatically equally sized. So this is, I guess, it's a built-in feature for containers. It makes it easier for you to build layouts that are equal. So you won't have to calculate, oh, if this is 40%, then this should be 20, 20, 20. And obviously, if you set absolute values, right, then making it responsive will be that bit more tougher. So I think it's, if I set it to 35, let's set it to 35. 35 looks more accurate. Let me just see. No, I set it to 40%. Yeah. Okay, 40%. And then of course we want that padding, right? So go to the parent container, in the container settings, link them all, set it to this 1 REM. And it's just padding around it automatically. Okay, now I need to add this. It's just text here. So there are a few ways I can do it. I can just add in one text, come to the content. This is one way to do it, right? And then so it's just one element. The other way to do it is to add a header element and a text element. So that one will give you a bit more control, right, over the space between. So this is one way to do it. But for the interest of time, I'm just going to leave it as such. This I'm going to change this to H2. Oops. Can you change this to H2, please? Nope. Just allow me to change H2 there. Now I need to go to the code to change it. Okay, it's H2, but the size is not changing. Okay, I'm just going to leave it as this because it's not supposed to be an exact replica anyway. Alright, then next will be social icons. Oops. Alright, so for social icons, it's a bit different, where, let me just show you so that you know what I mean. So if I were to remove all the labels, there's no option, right, to set the padding or the margin in between each item, at least not without using custom code. So a workaround is to just delete the others and then duplicate this so that you can set the margin in between each item. But then of course if we do that, then we would have to add in another container. So drag this up here, and that's all the social icons under this container, and then set this to horizontal, right? Then let's add a little bit of padding, or margin rather. Bottom, let's set 1 REM. Maybe I need to, yeah, this looks a bit better. And then individual social icons, this is where I will need to set in 1 REM, for example. So that it looks more like this. Okay, 1 REM, 1 REM. Then you can go ahead and change the icons accordingly. So the background, I'm using this. I'm using that. Yep, I'm using that as the background. Okay, so this can be Twitter. This can be Facebook. Make sure to change the background color so that it fits. Just going to go through this quickly. What's the next one? Instagram, and then Pinterest. Okay, on the last one. Then just change it to Pinterest. Alright, looks pretty neat now, right? Except for this, it looks a bit different because I use a header over here. Then for this, for the interest of time also, I'm not going to create like menus, but instead, just going to use text element, and then I'm going to put it here like that. Then of course for typography, for layout, make sure that it's full width, so it takes up the full width. Or rather, there's another way to do it, which is to stretch it, so that it just stretches out. and then duplicate this, bring this to the other container, duplicate, bring to the other container, and then change accordingly to this. What's for this? And there you have it, your footer. I think I've added in some more padding here, so I believe there's a bit more padding, so let me just set it to 2 REM. But I think top and bottom have a bit more, so let me unlink this and set this to maybe like 4. Maybe yeah, 4. This looks a bit better, so there's a bit more white space, right? And save. And there you have it. The footer is done also, right? Then now it's the actual building of the page, which will take a bit longer, but no worries. That's why I did it the first time, right? So that I'm a bit more familiar with it right now. Because honestly, I didn't take a very short time to rebuild this. I took some time to figure out some things because it was my first time playing with the container element. So building, even adding this kind of hover effects so that it looks a bit more realistic as a homepage, right? Okay, so as you can see, the header is here, the footer is here, right? So you can add one container, and then since there are going to be a lot of elements on this page, I'm going to name this as. I'm going to start naming my elements in the structure panel. Okay, so same thing for any other sections within the website, right? You're going to need the main container, right? So this one probably just name this hero main container, and then this would be a hero wrapper container. Right, so the main container will always be stretched. The hero container will always align in the center, right? And because we need 2 columns, one column for this guy over here, one column for here, so we need to add in 2 more columns. Then in this hero left column, and then this one will be hero right column. Then I'm going to change this to horizontal, and you see this is a background image. So we're going to set this. Let's set the background image on the main container. Background select image, which is this. Insert. Okay. And with all our containers, we're going to add in. We're just going to make sure that there is this. I think I should add it here. I should add it in the main container itself. Yeah. So I want to add in 6 REMs of padding at the top and bottom. Oops. And then on the right hand side, I'll link this first. I believe it's 2 REM. Left and right will be 2 REM. Let me just double confirm to make sure. Alright, click on this. Let's see. Oh, it's just 6. I think I did it here, over here, yeah. But it's 2. So I'm just going to leave it as that. Okay, I'm gonna leave this open so that I can refer back, because the padding and stuff actually matters in terms of getting this look that we want. Okay, so that's done. Oh yeah, I shouldn't set, because I want this guy to be right at the bottom. Yeah, so I cannot set the padding over here. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, since this guy is going to be a bit tougher to achieve, right? Not really, but just want to get this guy out of the way first. So the image, this guy would be this man over here. Okay, it's a bit too big. Let's I'm gonna bring it down to large. What size do I set for this guy? Let's see, 75% width. Okay, let's do that. 75% width. I believe he is in the center. Yep, looks good. Okay, I think this is more or less done. Yep, correct. Then now for the header, text, button, and all these elements over here. So as you can see, there's another container over here. Let's go ahead and add in the header first, and the padding, let me add in here as well to rem. Then for here, for this column, there's no need for any padding, but let's just make sure that it looks good. Yep. As you can see, this is how it should look like, right? Then this, I think this column has, this main container has a background. Is there? Yes, there is a background. Let me just change the background color as well. I think it's this. Yes. Yep. That's pretty close now. Then go ahead to add in a heading, some text, and a button. Alright. Okay, a bit rough right now, but it's going to slowly take shape. So let's copy the put this over. Heading, it should be head H1, right? Now it looks good. And then you're gonna add some padding at the bottom, 2 rems. Text as well, add 2 rems of padding. Oh, I think it should be a bit more. Let's copy the text over first. I think this is around 4 rems. Then the button is get started. And this button is supposed to be large. Yep. Add in an arrow, change the color. Yep, it's starting to take some shape. And then now is where we need to add in a container, right? To hold this icon list. So we'll add in an icon list first. Icon list under the container. Why is it not showing up? For some reason it's not showing up. Okay, it's showing up now. Alright, okay. Let's just copy the content over first. Delete this, duplicate this, and then slowly remove. Okay. So this is audit and taxes, and this is business planning. Alright. Then change the icon to, I believe, let me check which icon. It took me some time to figure this out. Okay, so yeah, probably have to just copy the setting. Not sure whether this works. Let's try. Oh, it works. Great. So I just figured out something that I guess would be an excellent time saver, especially if you are working within the same site or using bricks for the same site. Let me see whether I can duplicate this and it will look. Yeah, I think I have to set this as auto width. Where is that? Set this to auto. Yep. And this to auto as well. And then select this container, change it to horizontal. But of course, it's supposed to be, okay, I think a better way to do this, right, is to set the layout to be 50%. Likewise for this, 50%. Yeah, this looks better. Okay, and then same thing, content, gonna just copy this, then delete and duplicate so that it's faster. Oops, should not be. Okay. Made a mistake there. This one should delete all here. International markets. And finally, stocks and trades. Okay. Now the hero banner is done, right? Heading, subheading, CTA. Get started, CTA. So will be icon with background. This two can leave it. Yep, this is the hero. Which let's just save it first, and then let's move on to the next section over here. Right, adding a container. There you go. Add in another container. So this is the main container. This would be ratings. Right. Ratings main container. And this is the ratings wrapper container. As usual, stretch it. Here we'll align to the center, and then we'll have 3 different columns, and I guess this one by itself it's a bit longer, right? It's a bit shorter, sorry. So we're going to add in 3 columns, horizontal, and then change this. What was the width here? 20%. Change the width to 20%. Alright, and these other two are the same. Okay, so this is the tricky part, right? 4.8, and then the 5 stars, and then some ratings here. So we'll definitely need another container inside here. So this will be the ratings column, and then this would be the star container. Right. Star container, you'll add in icons, 5 of these icons to be exact. So I'm going to change this to, I think it was, yeah, supposed to be this star. And then typography, we'll change it to, change the color to this yellow, right? And then I believe the font size is 1 rem or something. I can't remember. Let's take a look. 24 pixels. So if I set this to 2.4 rems. Okay, and then just duplicate this 4 times so that there will be 5 altogether. Make sure that this column direction is horizontal, and then you can line everything else to the center. There you go. Okay, now to add in header and text, rearrange them a bit. So the header should be at the top, it should be 4.8, right? Then this can be H3, but then for the typography we'll need to change it up a bit. And for that we will take the clamp code for H1. Right, just need to select this, come back here, and put it here, because we don't want this to be H1, definitely not, but the size can be similar to H1. And then we also take line height, of course, or maybe just remove this. Remove this altogether. No, I can't. Okay, let me take the line height from H1 as well, so it doesn't look all weird. Back here, change this. Yep, so that it looks better, right? Now I forgot to add in some padding over here, so to the main container I'm just going to add in some padding. So top and bottom will be 6, and then the sides will be just 2. Let me just get all the rams in. Yep, looks better. And then of course here, I want to make sure that the inner containers have at least 1 ram of padding from each other. Or was there more? I can't remember. Let's just check it out. Oh, it seems like I added into the container itself. So obviously I shouldn't have done that. It's better to do it at the parent container level so that it automatically applies to everything here. Unless of course you want specific paddings for each container, then that's probably not a good idea. Either way, this should be aligned to the center, and then just make sure that the typography is also center aligned. This one as well, this would be 2321 ratings, aligned to the center, and typography text align center. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now for the other 2 columns here. Okay, let me just copy this first. There should be a text element. Let me hold on. Maybe I should change. Maybe I should have 2 separate ones, just so that I have more control over the what it looks like. Right. Okay. We do. See. This should be secondary. Okay. It has to be bold. So I'm going to change the typography a bit. Change the font weight to be 900. Now that looks better. Letter spacing, some letter spacing. So that, I think I also added letter spacing over there. I can't remember, yeah, I think I probably did, yes. Okay. Just not sure why there is some space at all. Okay, yeah, probably just need to do this. Okay, alright, I think that's better now. Okay, now I have to make sure that it's all stretched. Sorry, I think it's more like this is stretched, yeah. And then, oh, more like they're aligned, they should be aligned to the center, that's right. Okay, and then for this, add in this portion and then add in this border over there. So we're going to add in a text element. Or is it not? Oh, okay, probably a bug. Either way, I'm going to add in there's probably a better way to do this, but how I did it was, hey wait, why is there this? Ah, okay, yeah, this is how I did it. So I added a border onto the text element. So for the width on the left was probably like 4 pixels or something. And then style solid. Everything else is 0. Right. And then I added some padding on the left. 2 rems. Yeah, that's how I achieve this. Or rather, maybe 1 rem. 2 rems looks better. Yep. And then now to make it responsive, right? So here is fine, but once it reaches here, it looks a bit messed up. So we just have to make sure that everything is aligned to the center. Okay, this one as well, and it's aligned to the center. Right? Yep, all is aligned to the center. And then maybe this we have to increase the font weight a little bit, like 600, so it looks better. Now it looks a bit rough. I think it's because of this. Okay, so just once it collapses, once it's aligned vertically, then probably this container, we must make sure to specify that it's still 200% right now. Let's make it 100% so that it doesn't squish when it's come down. Looks all good. I'm quite happy with this, right? Let's move on to the next section. Ratings column, this would be, oops, there's something, there's some slight technical difficulties just now, but seems like it's better right now. Okay, we can go back to the next, we can go on to the next. Oh wait, this one is still not fixed. Some of the settings were not saved, I guess, just now. So 100%, this supposed to be right in the center. Oops, why is it not? Sister. Yeah, okay, it's working right now. Looks all good. Change this, change the font weight of this to be 600. Yeah. Okay, quite happy with this. Save again. Make sure that it's all good. Okay. And then rename this a bit. This is this will be a quote. Okay. Add in another container. Make sure this container is by itself. This would be the next one. Services. Services main container. Then add in container. Likewise, stretch it out. Over here, most likely it has to be, yeah, this one has to be vertical. Align in the center. And then this is where it gets a little bit complicated, right? Because this by itself, right, should be in a container by itself with all the individual columns here. And then here, because everything else has to be stacked vertically. So this would be the services wrapper container. And then yeah, I'm just going to add in our container first. But over here, I'm going to change the background to be dark blue. Right, okay, all good. Fix the layout a little bit. 6 rems, right, top and bottom, and then left and right will be 2 rems. Okay, all good. Then now to add in the view at the top, what else? 2 headers, or rather one text element. The top, this will be what we do. In fact, I can just copy from here, right? I think that's what I did. Okay, I'm just going to delete this first. Then I'm going to copy from the previous one. Copy this. Place it over here. Yep. Okay, and then this I would have to make sure that it's aligned to the center. For the heading, I'm going to change it to this. And then to make sure that it's center align, I'm going to change this text align to center, and then content style would have to be light. Okay, then I'm going to change the width. Just going to copy heading styles and paste it over here. So yeah, there's 3 rems at the bottom with 750, so that as it comes down, so this sets a max width of 750. Oops. So that it doesn't look like it was so long over here and then it's so short. Just grid shape over here. So if it's not 750, it's going to look like this. It's going to look very weird. So I set it as 750 width. And then add in a divider. Small in the divider. Oops. Delete that. Put it here. Well, mess the thing up a little bit. Just going to refresh it first. That's probably one of the few quirks of the builder right now, but nothing a refresh or something can fix. The good thing is it's auto save every time, so you don't have to worry too much about your stuff getting gone. Right. I'm just going to do this first so that I can copy this, copy the style of this, copy the other styles, and then paste it over here. There you go. Okay. So the divider, I think I should have I think it's set the margin over here, is it? I can't remember. But it's this margin over here, so either way, I'm gonna add in containers over here. Okay, let's take a look at the structure a bit. So there's one main, let me see, this is why I should definitely name your elements. Okay, there's one main container over here, right? Then all these are just the columns. So there's one here, one here. There are multiple columns because the layout is a bit special, right? I think I have to rebuild it a little bit on smaller breakpoints. Okay, but either way, it's supposed to be you're supposed to create one cell first, and then you duplicate the rest. In this case, okay, so it's going to be a bit tough, and there's a slight learning curve, of course. But either way, let's go ahead and do this. I'm just going to copy this container style over to save time, and then we will look from there. Okay, so this container, this is the, okay, let's name this services main container, and then this would be individual column, or rather this is the card, services card. Okay, then there will be a wrapper, so the card, the wrapper, and then the content. So let's go ahead and do that. Services card, so it will be services wrapper, right, and then one more, this one would be the content. Then go ahead and add in the icon box. So this is icon box. Okay, paste icon box styles. And I'm going to remove. The reason why I use icon box is so that I can get this background thing here, right? This dollar, yeah. This is the one. Yeah, is this the one? I think not. Well, here it is. Okay, it looks better now. And I'm going to remove all the content. So what's left is only the icon by itself, right? Okay, and then a header. This heading would be light, style light, H3, yes. Okay, sorry, H3, H4, financial services, and then some text content. We just paste all the content in first and then we do the layout. Why style should be light? Oh, was it? Yeah, okay, that's light. Okay. Is this is H3, sorry. So just change this to H3 first. That's a bit too big right now. That's a bit weird. Change it to H4 first. I think it was H3, but then I changed the typography, if I'm not wrong. Let's take a look. Yes, I did change the size, I guess. Yeah, I did change the size of it so that it's not too big. Okay, now we have the first card, right? But let's break it down a little bit. So the reason why we have this card wrapper is so that there's this padding between each card. Okay, so that's the first point, right? So that's why, right? You see this when you see the main wrapper. I think we would have to add in some padding as well in this main one. Let's just copy container styles, paste it over. Yeah. So there's this inner padding. I use 16 pixels, right? Because it doesn't take decimal points for padding and margin for some reason when we use RAM units. So in this case we just use pixels so that it has a bit more even look. So anyway, this services card, right, is so that there's this padding around, and then this wrapper is so that we can add in the border. Okay, so let me just copy this container style, paste this over. So now you can see, right, there's this border over there, right, around the container, because that's what the design wants us to do. Okay, and then there's also some hover animation. So hover styles. Let me just select this, so you can see the hover styles. So this is how we edit hover styles, right? I think there was some transform. I think I would have to. Not sure why it's not showing up here, but the hover styles is. Let me just take a look here. Transform -1 rem on the y-axis. -1 rem on the y-axis, so that it goes up, and it also adds shadow, box shadow, 20 pixels blur and 4 pixels spread. So that's just that. 4 pixels blur, and then this is the box shadow. Okay. Then to make sure that it's smooth, we're gonna need to add in this transition property over here, so that it's smooth. So now when we save it, when we view it on the front end, there's a smooth transition, but I think there's a mistake on like this part here, so we're gonna have to remove that. Okay. Anyway, it's this. It shouldn't be here, but it should be here. Yeah, I think I pasted on the wrong side. So, okay, just to make sure that. Okay, let's just save and take a look. Okay, now it's correct. I might have added the. Yeah, I might have added the CSS transition and the hover styles instead of the main one. Let me just check. Make sure that's the case. Save this, then refresh. Yep. Now it's smooth, right? So basically, the main container, which is going to be the container to hold all the different all the different cells, right? The service wrapper is for the border, as well as the hover animation and all this extra padding on the side, right? So that the content within looks good. And then of course this final wrapper, right, is so that everything keeps in place, and then you can align them vertically. So next, all we have to do is just to duplicate them, right? And it all looks good. Of course, one more important thing that I forgot to mention, right, is that I had to change, make sure that the width of each cell, right, is 50% on the smaller one, on this tablet breakpoint, and then on mobile landscape it's still 50%, but then on mobile portrait it has to be 100%, right? So that when we scale it down, it looks good. Just like this example over here. Oops, somehow why is it not? Okay, good. And this is nice hover effect here also. Okay, and then on mobile, it just looks good. Right. Anyway, I start scaling it up. It's still responsive. You realize that the text scales as the screen scales. It doesn't just suddenly snap to a new size, but it slowly scales nicely, which is the intended behavior that we want anyway. Okay, we have to fix this later on, but this one is not something that is too hard to fix anyway. But let's just fix it right now. Okay, probably would have to reduce the padding over here. Yeah, or let me see whether I can just make this 100%. This is 100% already. It's just that the padding at the sides causing this to be a bit wonky. Let me see. Maybe on the container level, yes. So I should set it at this container level instead, which is what I did in my original build. Let's remove this. So when it comes down, it looks slightly better. No, it's still not. It's still 20%, right? Which is, yeah, okay. Oops. Now it's a bit weird. So this. I think it's. This is why. Okay. So I shouldn't be padding over here. Yeah. Yeah. I messed up just now. So sorry about that. Should look good on mobile right now, or not. It looks a bit weird. Let's see typography. Or was it here? Auto width. Icon text typography. It looks the same size, but for some reason. Oh, okay, I remember now. Instead of side by side, it was stacking on top of each other. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so for the container, instead of currently it's horizontal, I'm going to set it to vertical. So now it looks better. Yep, a lot better, in fact. And then for the layout, this is where 50% wouldn't matter. Shouldn't be 50%, but should be auto width. Remove this. For the content, if it's this item, auto width is correct. This item's auto width. So when we come down, it's correct. Okay, now it's behaving correctly. Let's save this, and then maybe add some padding at this breakpoint, or rather, looks a bit rough here. Okay, this one should line container end. Yeah, okay, now it looks better. So now for the next section. This is quite a simple section. Shouldn't take too long. So I'll just name this as CPA container, and then another container. So as usual, this will be stretch. This one will be aligned to the center. This will be CTA wrapper container. Then we'll have two columns. Okay, so add in two columns here. This will be the left column. Okay, I think before I do that, I'll just delete this first. Change this to horizontal, and then for this, I'll just create this and then duplicate over. So an icon, header, and some text. An icon, header, and some text. Oops. Button heading go in. Okay. So this will be stocks and trades. This will be the text over there. And then the icon, it's going to leave it as such. Stock and trades. Okay. Then just make sure that all of this align to the center, right? Then add some padding, some margin at the bottom. Maybe just one rem. So this 1 rem. Okay. Duplicate this. Change this as the right column. And then in the main column, of course, we want to add in, as usual, 6 rems at the top and bottom, and 2 rems left and right. 72. Okay, looking quite good now. And then add in another button. Add in a button. I think I'll just copy the button from here. So this clone button, right? And let's take the button from there. Take it down here. Collapse this, and then right. This is supposed to be here. And then this main container, obviously, will center align everything. This wrapper container, add in some margin at the bottom, maybe like 4 rems, right? Or you can go up to 6 rems. Yeah, looks a bit more spaced out like that. In fact, looks like I should add in even more rems here, like maybe like 8 or something, and 8 at the bottom. Okay, CTA main container done. Let's move on to this contact form, which looks a bit interesting, right? Because there's this, looks like a floating container of sorts. So here's where we'll add a container. Let's unpin this. About this container, this will be a contact main container. Then another container, this would be the contact wrapper container. Likewise, set it up first, stretch it out. This would be aligned to the center, and then horizontal. Since this will be one container by itself and this will be one container by itself, add in 2 containers. Okay, and then this would be the contact us, the contact form. Okay, for contact us is just header and text. Right, this is contact us, and then change this to H2. Some margin at the bottom, just 2 rems. There goes the text. Then now this container by itself, I'm gonna add some padding around. Right, so maybe 4 rems. All right. And then we'll have to add in the background image, background color, blue. Change this to light. That is fine. Right. I think this should be. I think style muted looks good. Okay, yeah. And then now here is where we probably want to add in some inner padding as well. I'll go with 2 rems. Okay, looks good. And then now for the contact form. Okay, so the contact form itself, the background, would have to be white. Then it has to have padding, let's say about 4 rems. Looks about right. And then it's name, email, and message. Just that we will make sure that submit button is supposed to be, this is correct, medium. This is supposed to be send message. There should be an icon. I think it's this mail. This one. And then it should be a left. Okay, maybe it should be large. It's a large, yeah, it's large. And then I believe fields show labels. Okay, show required asterisk. And then there shouldn't be any placeholders since there are labels already. And there we have it, the form. More importantly, we have to make sure that the borders are rounded slightly. So it's more like 4. Yeah, 4 looks correct. As well for this, the borders, I think it's 8. Oops, not 81 but 8. Okay, yeah, looks good. Oh no, it should be a bit rounder. Whoops, this one. Okay, let's bring it up to 16. Make it all up. Seems like it's more. 20. Yeah, 20 looks about right. Okay, and then select this main container, make sure it's aligned to the center. Yeah, now it looks a lot closer. Okay, now is the challenge, which is to make it responsive. So first, this main container over here, maybe we should bring down the padding on the right and left side. Yeah, looks good. Okay, and then come down to mobile landscape. This looks a stack, right? So this is fine. But then on mobile portrait, this is where probably this part looks a bit rough. So we're going to reduce this right to effect 0. Yeah, 0 rems. And then on the form itself, that's when the padding should be less as well. So maybe 2 rems. Right. 2 rems looks about right. And then on this main container, we probably want some padding at the right and left too. Yeah, so I think it should be done over here at this level. So probably 6 padding, 6 rems of padding on the top and bottom. And then on the right hand side, 6 first, change this to 1 rem on the left and right sides, so that when it comes down, right, or maybe it should be 2. And then only down when it's down to mobile pen portrait, then it's one red. So there's this spacing on the side there. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Perhaps can even bring down top and bottom padding too, so it's not so big. Yep, this looks good. Yeah, quite happy with this now. So there you have it. This is a contact form that is responsive. Okay, save. Then move on to probably the last section, right? No, second to last section. So this is similar to this section. So I'm just going to copy that section down and duplicate this and shift this section down. Okay, this is the first time I'm experiencing some lag in the builder. Okay, but anyway, here is where we change this to testimonials. And then what a client say. And then change this to primary, which is the same color now. And then change this, of course, to white. Going to remove a lot of these cards. In fact, I'm going to remove all the cards except for one. So the quickest way to do this is always to create one card and then duplicate them. Right. So this would be testimonials main container, and then testimonials wrapper container, text heading divider. Divider will be blue in color. Yep. Then I'm going to remove. This is the to remove the styles of this. Hover styles, remove. So there are no hover styles, and there shouldn't be any borders as well. Okay, but I don't need so many. Containers anymore. So that's one container for this. 3 stars. Just going to duplicate this one. So clone container. And then I'm going to bring down that container. Star container. I'm going to bring it down all the way down over here. Right. Then make sure that it's at the start, so it's aligned to the left. Then delete this, change this, change the text for this, change it to H4, change this to primary. Most likely I only need one level down. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this up here. Right, that's going to delete this column or this container. There's a bit too much padding also. I'm going to change it over at the main container since it's set here. I'll remove the padding there. And then since there's already inner container padding here, right, we'll remove this as well. I think I'm going to set it. So this is card content. In fact, I can do with even one level less. Oh no, wait, hold on. Yeah, it's a bit rough. It's not going in. Okay, it's a bit weird to be struggling with this, but let me just try to duplicate this so that it's easier for me to test it under. It's almost funny. Okay, I think this is fine. This is correct. Yeah, it's supposed to be like that. Okay, then probably here is where I should set the padding. 2 rems maybe? Okay, looks good. And then this text, let us change this to that. Then change the style to muted. Yep. Then one container to add in a container here as well. Okay, this container is important because it has to be this avatar icon, this avatar picture, and then the client's name and the client's company. But in fact, even within this one, I will have to add in one more container because this is where we will have the client's name and company. So let's just put it in. If I can put it in, yeah, it's always a challenge like that. Let's push this up first so that I can test it under. Test it under as well. Okay, now that's better. And then now I can pull it. Whoa! Suddenly there are so many duplicates. Okay, the image is supposed to be beside the icon. Okay, this looks correct already. Container with image, there it is. Okay, now this looks good. Okay, horizontal, right, and then this is vertical, correct. And this is where I'll take this, Ellen Fresco, and the other one is Company Inc. Okay, then now for this image, let's select this guy. And the style, border, radius will be 50, so it's rounded. Okay, save it first. Okay, all good. And then this, I'll bring it down to, I believe it's 100 pixels, was it? 800 pixels, I can't remember. Yeah, it's about 100 pixels. Then and this main wrapper container, gotta set it to line center, add some padding or margin, the right. Set this to 1 rem. Okay, Looks good. Now add some margins at the bottom. And that's pretty much it. Alright, looks pretty close already. Save this. And now it's the duplication part. So this, let's change this to testimonial card. Content, style, container, heading text, testimonial, comment. Okay. And then just duplicate the testimonial card. So the testimonial card is already responsive by default since we copied it from here. So when we come down to tablet, it's 50-50. Come down to mobile, landscape, it's also 50-50. And then we come down to mobile portrait, right? It's 100%. So it looks good. Okay, so let's save it. Let's see. Hopefully it's yes. Okay, luckily. Now for the very last section, right, which is this part, which is not a hard part to build also. So we know the drill. Create a container, and the container might be a bit off, so let's put it out here, and then let's name this as ending CPA in container. Add in the container, this would be ending CPA wrapper container. Right. Then obviously this would be aligned to the center. The main one will stretch, and then this will have to stack horizontally. So this is one column by this is one container by itself. This is one container. Okay, so add in 2 more containers. Right. So it's just one text and header. Is that text and header? Then change the text, best way to save your money. And over here, we need to grow a business. Right. And of course, add a little bit of padding. Let's go with, yes, that's the usual 6 rams. I think just 2 rams left and right. Then later when you come down to mobile, right, it will be 1. When you come down to mobile portrait, it will be 1. Just get this out of the way first. Okay. And then this container, this wrapper container, you will need to add in same thing as this 4 rams of padding. Right. And then add in background color. Then border. Let's go with 12 pixels. And then over here, actually looks a bit more than 4, right? It's more like 6 rams of padding. Yeah, it looks more like 6 rams of padding. Yeah. And the border seems to be bigger as well. So I'll just go with 16. Linked Right, looks good. And then over here, let me just make sure that this is aligned to the center, the cross axis, and then here is where we'll add two buttons. So we're just going to clone this button, take it from the CTA one, put this under this container. Yep, went in, great. And then over here it will be aligned to the end, line center, main axis, horizontal, center, and okay. Not sure why. Oh, okay, I think I know why. Because this has some margin at the bottom. Okay, now it looks good. So now this button will be more medium, and somehow they decide that the position of the icon is on the left instead. Focal consultation, then the icon is calendar icon. So now I'm going to duplicate this, add some margin on the right, just one rem. Change this, the style of the secondary, doesn't work. Okay, let's go for background, change it to yellow. Then the icon, it will change it to dark blue. And then typography, text color, change it to dark blue as well, right? And the content would be contact us, and the icon is the mail icon. Now that's done. Okay, now to make sure it's responsive. It looks, I guess, a bit rough here, but I think I'm okay with this. Yeah, but probably have to change the padding down to 4 rems instead, probably. Yeah, looks a lot better right now. CP left and right, okay, that's fine. And now it's text at the top and bottom. Add in some margin at the bottom. Then instead of aligning to the end, align it to the center. Okay, and then now, and probably want to make sure that all this aligned the center. Okay, it's better right now. Make sure that these, when it comes down here, text align the center, so that if we do go to, if we do have to go to 2 lines, it'll be centered. And then for the container, on the mobile portrait view, this is where I guess the padding should just be 2 rems on all sides. Yeah, this looks a little bit better. Then the buttons, probably should it stretches out 100%. What's for this? But instead of having margin, so I'm going to have heavy margin for this button. So yeah, Guess we're more or less done. Quite happy with this. I say so myself. Let's look at the final product. It's just empty cache and hard to load. Make sure that everything is according to the latest version. And it takes a very long time to load again. And as you can see, this is the finished result. Hover effects. Because this is the one, the previous one, the first one that I made. There will be some slight differences, but it's pretty much the same. Let's check, make sure that it's responsive. Yep, it's responsive. As you can see, it's all good. Contact form is good. Testimonials look good. And yeah. So if you stick around up until now, thank you so much for going through this 2-hour plus complete walkthrough and tutorial of how to build one-pager website, including using the header and footer templating feature of Bricks Builder. Hope that it's been helpful for you and you understand the new container element a bit better and why it's a lot better than the previous section, row, column kind of structure. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below and let me know. Hit the like button and everything. And of course, if you think that Bricks Builder is good enough for you, of course, there were quite a lot of problems that I faced. And also, it didn't help that Cloudways had some issues with the servers or something. I'm not as 100% sure, but it seems to be a server issue because other websites hosted on that Cloudways server that we were using were also affected. Maybe, I don't know, the way the Bricks Builder handles the requests and stuff, maybe that overloaded the Cloudways server. I haven't taken a look in that yet, but as you can see, it's quite powerful. It's flexible, and honestly, building a full one-pager website with a header and a footer. Of course, I didn't add like links and everything, but even if you were to add those in, right, it shouldn't take you more than a few hours just to launch a decent looking site, right? So yeah, you can consider getting the ultimate license, which costs $149 for 1,000 websites for a lifetime. Yeah, so hopefully I'll be back with another tutorial video, and thank you. Bye bye.